what are we going to learn today? We are going to learn to multiply a fraction and a whole number using area models and also using an equation. This is lesson 4.2. So in your math journal, make sure you have the lesson number. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to define the commutative property. The commutative property is the order in which numbers are added or multiplied does not change the sum or product. So what that means is I can take 3 times 2 and that equals 2 times 3. They're the same. I get 6 for both of them. I can also do 3 plus 2 and that equals 2 plus 3. Both of your answers are 5. So the order in which numbers are added or multiplied does not change the sum or the product. Okay, multiply a whole number by a fraction. Write the whole number as a fraction. Multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators. So we take our whole number, right here are 5, and we put a 1 under it to give it make it into a fraction, and then we multiply straight across. We have 5 times 3 is 15, 1 times 4 is 4, and then when we don't ever leave them improper, we always simplify them out, so it will be 3 3/4. Okay, let's do another one together. So if we do it in a model, here we have method number 1, using a model. So the first thing we want to do is give ourselves 2 columns, since we have a 2 right here, and then each of these are going to be 1/5. So we're going to shade 2/5 of each of the 2 columns, because there's 2 in each of them, and then when we put those all together, we end up with 4/5, because we would multiply those across. So let's look at it as an equation. So method number 2 is using an equation. So estimate it, we did that already. Then let's look, 2 times 2/5 equals 2/5. So we take the 2, put it over 1, and then we multiply straight across again. 2 times 2, 1 times 5, and we come up with 4/5. Using either method, we get the same answer, so both methods are valid. We check for the reasonableness. Is 4/5 close to 1? Yes, it is. Okay, this one's your first one you're going to do in your journal. So you are going to find 3 times 1/5. We are not estimating, we're doing straight multiplication today. So 3 times 1/5. So stop the video, write that in your journal. Did you write it down? Okay, so moving on to the next example. So here we have 3/5 times 4. Using the model of an area, we have 4 holes, and there's 5 sections each. So we're going to color in 3 of the 5 on all 4 towers. So how many are done? Well, if you count those up, there's 12, or there's 12 out of 5, and then when we simplify that down, we get it to 2 2/5. Doing it as the method 2, doing it as an equation, we have 3/5 times 4. 3/5 times 4 equals 3/5 times 4 over 1. We multiply the top, we multiply the bottom, we get 12/5. Then we need to simplify that by turning it back into a mixed number. Check for reasonableness. And both methods, we got 2 2/5. Do I expect to see area models? Not necessarily, but I like to show you the visual side of it. So here's your second problem to do in your math journal. Go ahead and stop the video and do this problem now. Okay, moving on. Last one. Find 1/4 times 5. Same thing, area model. First of all, we estimate. And this time we're not going to do an area model. We're just going to do it as we have been doing the method number 2. So we take 1/4 times 5, 1/4 times 5 over 1. Remember, in order to take a whole number into a fraction, we simply put it over 1. Then we times it out, multiply, and we get 5 over 4, or 1 1/4. Check for reasonableness, meaning since this was our estimation, 1 1/4, is that close to 1? Yep, it is. Okay, and our last question, a sloth spends 4/5 of its time asleep. If a sloth lives to be 28 years old, how many years does it spend asleep? So first of all, we're going to check for reasonableness. So find 4/5 of 28. Our estimate is 4/5 of 30. We're going to do like we did in the first lesson, and it's going to be 24. Then we change 28, put a 1 under it to make it into a fraction, times 4 times 28 over 4 times 1, and that gives us 112 over 5, or 22 2/5. Make sure you always simplify fractions if you can. Don't leave them like this, leave them like that. So a sloth spends 22 2/5 years of its life asleep. Okay, here is your last one for your math journal. Make sure when you are done that you have lesson 4.2, the date, and a sentence. Those are the things you need. Hope. And we will see you tomorrow.